everybody. We are Christian Conservative, your trusted source for bold, unfiltered news and analysis on the issues that matter most to Christian conservatives. I'm KJ. Of course, back with me tonight is Michelle Talkington. How are you doing tonight, Michelle?
Hey, I am great tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm excited for our topics, as usual.
Yeah, me too. Same here. All right. Yeah, we have a lot to cover tonight. From faith and family to politics and culture, we tackle the hard truths and stand firm on biblical principles. Join us as we expose the lies, defend our values, and fight for the truth in a world that desperately needs it. So, folks, as you come in tonight, please hit that like button. Hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a broader audience. And that's what the whole goal is here. We're a fairly new channel, and we really want to get our video out to as many people to see it as possible. All right. And subscribe. Subscribe now to stay informed, inspired, and empowered. All right. So, and I see you guys are already commenting. Oh, wow. Yes. So we see you, Joy, and the S Files. Kung Fu CJ there says, hello, ladies, with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Kung Fu CJ. Yes, S Files. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Hey, Allie. Good evening, folks. Good evening. Come on in. We are just getting started here. So we are going to start out tonight. Last night and this morning, the mainstream media have been all over the place. So last night at the White House Correspondents Dinner, a night usually reserved for swampy back patting and fake laughs, something incredible actually happened. An award was given to Political's Alex Thompson for covering Biden's cognitive decline. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And the very thing that we conservatives have been warning about for years, is now getting journalism awards because it can no longer be denied.
Yeah.
And it gets even better. So NBC's Kristen Welker was the one who actually presented this. And so we know she admitted that the White House tried to conceal Biden's mental struggles. And I'm just in awe about this because they weren't just spinning. They were hiding information from the American people about the president's ability to do his job. So I want to bring this to you guys, and Michelle, I got to get your feedback on this. This is her presenting the award. All right. So let's see here. Here we go.
Impartiality, integrity, and a deep knowledge of the presidency. The award also includes a prize of $2,500. This year's award goes to Alex Thompson of Axios. The judges said Thompson's aggressive reporting on President Biden, especially leading up to and after the Trump-Biden debate, revealed the president's cognitive decline was impacting his ability to do his job, information the White House tried to conceal. Ladies and gentlemen, the White House Correspondents Association is pleased to give the Aldo Beckman Award to Alex Thompson.
What a joke! What a slap in the face. Oh, you must be tall. Okay. So this is just I have no words. I have no words. It's corruption, it's betrayal, and it's election interference. Plain and simple. They have chosen to do this after the election when they not only lied and censored and didn't talk about it, but then when people like us, conservatives, and people were pushing up back saying that this was happening, they said there was nothing there. They said this wasn't not correct.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here, Michelle?
Now, where's my $2,500? KJ, where is yours? Let's go down the list. Everyone on Poppin' Politics, everybody who's almost a Republican, I guarantee all of our chatters, we all deserve $2,500. Give us the awards, because we were calling this out in 2020, 2021. We didn't need to be a part of Axios to see what was clear in front of our faces. But this is just a farce. It is a joke. It's the same thing as when where are not the awards, where are the arrests for the Russia hoax? Where are the arrests for the people that posted about Russia and got Pulitzer Prizes? Let's put them on a pedestal here. So I don't even care about this award as much as I care about why aren't we going after the ones that were part of this election interference. We all knew the truth. The voters knew the truth. And how ridiculous that he gets an award for it. And let's just look at the timing of when he finally came out. None of this came out until after Biden just completely bombed a debate. And then all of a sudden, these brave souls decided they were going to write these articles. Come on, guys. This is just common sense. Where's my $500? I want the check.
Well, exactly. And what is even more telling, and actually scary, is if they lied about Biden's mental fitness, what else are they hiding? What else?
Well,
okay, you admit that you covered up and you lied about Biden's unfitness. But what about what you did with Kamala Harris? How you did not pressure and investigate and ask for her in the very beginning to come out and answer questions about her flip-flopping on the record and how she had misinformed and sort of lied about various things on the campaign trail. There's nothing on that. And like you mentioned, Russia, all of this. I mean, this is really bad. This is really bad. I mean, how can the American people trust anything from these outlets ever again?
We shouldn't. But what's more interesting and what they're still covering up, and by giving this award, they're saying, hey, we really want the truth. What they're covering up is who was running the country. See, they don't want to give you the real truth. They don't want you to know who was in charge of the White House making decisions that were worth billions of dollars or our lives, because it wasn't Joe Biden. We know that, and everyone in the White House knows that. So that is what they're still covering. But by saying, oh, we're going to come clean, we're going to come clean with a little bit, they hope to distract us enough to where we're so focused on a midterm election that we let this all slide. And I'm just going to tell you, we have to not let these things slide.
No, yeah. We got to keep sounding the alarm, folks. We got to keep sounding the alarm. And this is why broadcasts like this is so important. Please hit that like button as you guys come in, because it helps to get our video out to a larger audience, and subscribe. Share this in a DM on your social media, because these people cannot get away with this. And there's more. So that was her presenting this reporter from Axios the award. Now he gave a speech, and he really went in on media for not covering this story. Let's see here. I want to bring this to you guys. Take a look. All right.
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception.
So this is what, now I said this last year. I knew they were going to do this pivot, because what they're trying to do is now say, oh, we've seen the light, and now we're going to really go hard and really go after the Trump administration. This is why they're doing it. And I want to play more here, but I want to see the super chats here. I got Kung Fu CJ says, that's right, Michelle.
Yeah. Where's Kung Fu CJ's $2,500? He called that out too.
Exactly. Kung Fu CJ, Allie, Shannon.
I mean,
all of you. Yeah, BC Survivor. All of us need to get $2,500 for the lies and then things that we uncovered. Exactly. Let's see here. He's going on.
But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story. And some people trust us less because of it.
Oh, yeah.
We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
A lot of responsibility.
Courtesy clap.
I say this because acknowledging errors builds trust, and being defensive about them further erodes it. We should have done better.
Yeah.
I believe our mission is vital in a world where people are struggling to figure out what's true, and people with power are not telling the truth. I also believe that this association has been, is, and will continue to be critical to that mission.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Thank you to the association's leadership for your unflinching defense of the First Amendment, not just now, but always. Your decades of daily battles on behalf of reporters is why this award is one of the great honors of my life.
Not enough.
Oh my.
He did not go in hard enough. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
I mean, he's not going to, because even then he's not saying that I was wrong. He's not taking any personal culpability or responsibility for that. He's not. He's simply saying thank you. And because the rest of you didn't come and do this faster, I'm going to get my reward. I'm going to win this one. This is not about real responsibility. This is about him appeasing who he needs to appease so that, again, they think we're stupid. Right. They actually believe they can do this and that we'll buy into it. And like you said, KJ, this is an opportunity for them to turn this on the Trump administration to say, oh, because we know better now, we're really going to be honest and truthful and investigate this administration. They're the ones. So then once again, it's going to be a cover up on the Biden administration and everything they did to try to destroy this nation. And it's not because they're Democrat independent. We actually don't know who was running the nation. We don't know who was in there calling the shots or how long they've been there. We know we have career politicians. Let me tell you one thing, and even the audience, I think what's interesting is for all of the career politicians, I need you to think about who are in their cabinets, who's helping them. So there are people that are career, not politicians, but they are helping the campaigns. They're campaign managers. There's a staff that have been there sometimes just as long. That's really scary. They know the ins and outs.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're still lying. So here's a clip of Elizabeth Warren just a couple of weeks ago talking about, somebody actually asked her about Biden and she's still on the same talking points lying. Here she is.
You know, the thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise.
Yep.
He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, he called her out. He called her out on it. And she couldn't keep going on. But this is what they did for the last 4 years.
I mean, who believes her? Who the woman who claims to be Native American, and she stayed by that until the proof came out that she wasn't, and it wasn't this great apology. It was like, but it's 0.001%. Come on. No, I don't believe her, and she's a career politician also. So no, never. And I'm glad that he called her out. But once again, they're doing this more so because they lost so badly,
right?
That they have to find some way to attack or to cover it up or to fix the problem. They're really all desperately grasping at straws to find out how they can win another election in 2026 during this midterms. I don't know.
Yeah, it really is. But we have to continue to remind people what they did, because this is not just pure politics. This is dangerous. Like you mentioned, Michelle, you brought up a very good point. We don't know how Biden was manipulated. We don't know how much information was turned over due to his senility. We really don't know. And this is the next thing. If they really want to, if the media really wants to come back from this, they need not let this go. No, we need to know who was running our country for the last 4 years. We need them to uncover that and investigate that. That's what, if they want to have any type of redemption for what they did, if they want us to really, truly believe them, They need to look into that, but they're not going to do it.
No, but what's funny is that they talk about all of the unelected bureaucrats and they go off on Elon Musk. When I'm like, well, wait a second. Like I said, how many people are working for the Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyers, the ones that have been in these positions in the White House, in FBI and CIA and other powerful places for decades? You don't even know their names. But they actually ultimately run the media. They're the ones sending out the memos. They're the ones in charge. And it's really hard to break into. And I can say that from just personal experience. It is hard to get into that. Career politicians, not just that, but the ones that have been there forever. We've got to clean house. And I think this administration is on that path, which is why everyone is in sheer panic mode. Clean house. And I'll bring this back spiritually. We know what happens when we clean house. So it's time to cast this out, clean house, but then you have to fill it. We have to fill it with godly people, people that pray. You can't just open it up, keep a house clean and let all kinds of demons run amok and come back 7 times. Right. No, we have to clean it up and keep it clean. This is our opportunity to do that.
Yep, absolutely. And I have one more clip here. This was Morning Joe. You guys, I'm sure you remember this. I mean, these people just, it's comical, but it's also scary that they just went to these lengths of lying, of just lying and misinforming the public.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent.
Oh, my goodness.
He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, you know, I don't know if people know this or not. Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is... And I don't really, you know what? I don't really care. Start your tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth.
Yeah, right.
And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Whoa. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
This man should not have a show on TV anymore. He should not. Just from that alone, he should be removed. Woo. He has lost all legitimacy. He has lost all. Who believes him? Who would actually believe him now?
That clip did not stand the test of time, did it? That is horrible. We have so many of them. They're so embarrassing. And they're still not coming back and apologizing. I love some of our chatters. I love, well, of course, in our super chatters, Kung Fu CJ, but Joel said, we know who's running the country, who must not be named. I was like, yeah, Voldemort. But we know the Obama administration, there were other presidents that were in close ties and connections with Biden. So we know there were other agendas underlining. Oh my gosh, to say Biden was the most fit he's ever been. And I joked with my kids. I said, guys, anytime you hear somebody saying somebody as sharp as attack, you know it's a lie because no one even knows what attack is. I asked all 6 of my children, what's attack? They're like, a what? Like an attack on a person? They didn't even know what attack was. So we just got to stop.
Yeah. It is mind-boggling. I mean, for him to get on there and say that, he's analytical, he's intelligent. I mean, these people are just... And again, who would believe these people anymore? You know, not just about our politics, but they come on here and they try to push narratives about health, about our economy, about all this stuff. I would not let them tell me how to walk around a corner, how to step off a curb. I would not listen to them for anything. If they tell me to go right, I'm going left. Okay, I mean, really.
KJ, that's saying a lot. KJ said she's going to go left. Oh, Lord. KJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I would. I would too.
Oh, yeah. But you have people, I have gone to, you know, friends, family members' homes, and they have this on all day long, listening to MSNBC, CNN. They believe this, they take this like Bible. Okay. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Yeah, the chat is going off the hook. I mean, we agree with you all. Morning Joe, just like the pandemic was real, right? They lied to us about that. Tried to censor anybody who had opposition research. And let's really talk about this. When you talk about the pandemic, the scam-demic, okay, I could even see them saying, some YouTube channels or YouTube personalities, maybe they would try to, it's not right to censor, but let's give them that. They say they're not going to believe, us. But there were credible, long professional doctors, scientists who were pushing back against the origin theory, against this idea of masking, of the 6 feet distance, all of it. And they were either censored or deplatformed or just ridiculed beyond belief. No one came to the rescue. And it was the mainstream media was behind it all. So
or if you were overseas, we had scientists that just came up missing.
Right.
We talk about, which is what gets me to here in the United States, and they're talking about, we're just picking up people and they're coming up missing in regards to immigration. I said, no, during COVID, scientists just came up missing.
Right.
In China and other countries. And we know that. And like, you're right, KJ, the very creator of the technology that created this vaccine, he said, this is not a vaccine. This is manipulation of DNA. He came out and spoke against it, and he's still speaking against it and during tours. And I have seen him live and in person saying, do not give this to your children. Do not use this. Know what it is. And they're still trying to silence him to this day.
Absolutely, Michelle. We have a super chatter here, Allie, with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, Morning Joe is such a jerk, and he runs his wife like a clock, but she's no better. They both lied repeatedly, and they got to go. Absolutely. I 100% agree. They need to go. They should be off the air. They should be off the air. But we will continue to follow this story, folks. We will continue to call them out for their lies and misinformation. And you guys have been doing the same thing, and we got to continue to share. Please, as you're just coming in, hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a larger audience. And subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. We see you, BC Survivor, talking about the plane crash. We're going to talk about that too. But this is crazy. Next, I want to talk about the news media today. So a lot of news has been on talking about trying to paint narratives on President Trump this morning. One so-called is Meet the Press. So the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appeared on ABC, it's ABC this morning, to address the media's coverage of Trump's tariff strategy. So take a look at this clip here. He really set the record straight, and I'm happy he did this let me see here, 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. He was on here this morning, and he really let them have it. Let's see here. Oops, 1 second. Okay. I want to get this out here because you guys know we're coming up on President Trump's first 100 days. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of media out here about his first 100 days. And they're already starting to try to paint narratives about President Trump that are not true. And this is the Treasury Secretary on ABC this morning. And he really sets her straight. Here we are.
Announce these tariffs and dial some back, pause them, make exceptions. Explain why you see this as a good negotiating strategy.
Well, in game theory, it's called strategic uncertainty. So you're not going to tell the person on the other side of the negotiation where you're going to end up. And nobody's better at creating this leverage than President Trump. He's shown the high tariffs, and here's the stick. This is where the tariffs can go. And the carrot is come to us, take off your tariffs, take off your non-tariff trade barriers, stop manipulating your currency, stop subsidizing labor and capital, and then we can talk. But I tell you, Martha, that we've had several of these Asian countries that come in and said, oh, well, we'll stop doing this, this, and this. And I look at these lists and I think, how did we get here? How did we get here? Mm-hmm. Because this trading system has been so unfair. And as President Trump says, I don't blame the countries. I blame the previous administrations that let them get away with it.
But Mr. Secretary, look at what you just heard from Barton O'Brien there. The administration says it's worried about Main Street, not Wall Street. But you heard that small businessman saying his inventory in China might as well be lit on fire because already what has happened and the concern about what's happening next. How do they plan?
They always try
if they don't know what's going to happen.
Well, what they know is that the China tariffs are unsustainable because the Chinese cannot sustain this. That if the business people, like the gentleman you interviewed, stop ordering, China has no business model. Their business model is predicated on selling cheap, subsidized goods to the U.S. And if there is a sudden stop in that, they will have a sudden stop in the economy. So they will negotiate.
Well, I like him. What are your thoughts on that exchange, Michelle?
I loved it. Like our last podcast, you asked me what are some of my favorite things about this administration. I said, I'm going to be different. I'm going to say the tariffs because he's right. And people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to know. They want to use tariffs like the big bad wolf, like they did with COVID. They need everybody in fear. And again, we allowed this to happen for so long that we kept shipping everything over to China to make goods that we now know are full of toxins, even in the toys that our kids play with, in the medications and the ingredients in the medications that they send over. There was nothing. We should have stopped this decades ago. So yeah. I love him. He is right on. That is why he has the position that he has. I'm so glad that he's on this station. Just tell the truth. And for all the business owners, where are the left-wing crazies who are, again, anti-slavery? Because we can say that the only reason you can get something for 2 cents is because you're not paying the person who actually built it or is working, who is being forced to work to do these jobs. So let's just be honest with that too. They don't want to talk about it. I'm happy about these tariffs, and he's right.
Yeah, here he is again, where he really mollywops them on this, again, this narrative that they're trying to paint, that the markets are somehow totally in disarray, and we are all about to lose our 401k and everything. Take a look here.
When I look at some of the things that are being published, there was a story 10 days ago that said, this is the worst April for the stock market since the Great Depression. 10 days later, the NASDAQ is now up on the month of April. And I hadn't seen a story that says, oh, stock market has biggest bounce back ever. So I think
it certainly has gone back and forth.
I think a lot of this is media driven.
Absolutely. And she tried to overtalk him, as you can see, to get him to move on. I actually looked up the numbers myself to see if that was right. And what I did was I compared the market numbers from April of 2024 to April of today. And we're doing much better this April than we were last April. Right. So the market in April 2024, the S&P 500 closed at 5,035.69. Now, despite volatility earlier in the year, major indices rebounded, with the S&P 500 closing at 5,525 on April 25th, marking a significant recovery. They're not telling that story.
No, they're not, because they're going to rely on the majority of people who don't follow the stock markets, that only listen or hear a clip. And actually, the clips are usually not what you gave, KJ. They don't usually give the numbers. They just hear the media say, it's bad, it's doing well, it's better, it's up and down. Like she said, oh, certainly it's been going up and down and up and down. Well, that's what the market does. It goes up and down. And that is why we were upset with the head of the Federal Reserve. Like, hey, you can lower interest rates right now. No, they don't want to do that, and they can't give this administration credit. This President Trump is a mastermind. People are coming to the table. We're going to negotiate. China has has almost no options. They can only hold out for so long before the people of China, think about how many there are, actually kind of rise up against their dictatorship and say, look, we're literally starving even more than we were before, because they can't sustain it. We have a sustainable economy. They do not, which is why they rely on us and our money and their cheap labor and products being shipped. This will end.
Exactly. And he was talking, if you guys check out his full interview, he was talking how under this Trump administration, energy is really doing well.
Yes.
And the market numbers support it. If you go to Barron's, you go right to the actual data. Energy is rising in oil prices. Energy stocks like ExxonMobil, Chevron are up, increased by 9.5% and 15% respectively. Also, healthcare industry is booming right now. The utilities industry is booming right now. So, I mean, when you compare these industries to this time last year, we're actually doing much better. But we're not getting that story. We're not getting the media narrative to say that. They're saying the exact opposite. So, folks, we got to be diligent and look at the raw number, look at the raw data, compare it to where we were at this time last year, and actually get the true meaning of what the market is looking like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again, they know that most people, even if they have a 401k, don't understand where their companies have invested their money. That's another major issue, right? We kind of leave it in the hands of big corporations to invest our money where they see fit. So when they use that excuse to say, oh, they're losing money and this and that, I said, well, they didn't know that you were investing in companies they probably would have said stop to, or I'm not interested. So it comes down to education, knowing where your money's going, who's investing in it. It's rough, but again, they can't give us credit. KJ, we won't need it, because soon we're going to see an economy that is successful. We will see manufacturing jobs come back to the United States. And even the ones that stay overseas, we're going to see better trade. We're going to see fair trade. And that's all a good thing for the American people. This is a Make America Great Again concept.
Exactly. And just like we said, I was on PBS a couple of weeks ago, and they had a bunch of leftists on there talking about how egg prices had increased. That's not true. That is not true. Egg prices have gone down since President Trump has gotten into office, but they continue to lie. We have Kung Fu CJ on here. Yes, indeed. With a $5 super chat, says they are trying to scare Main Street, not knowing some of us know better. Correct. Exactly, Kung Fu CJ. And folks, if you are just coming in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get our broadcast out there to more people. And we want people to hear the truth. We want to push back because some of these leftist pundits are being taken down off of mainstream media like Joy Reid and others. They're actually going to YouTube, and they still have a lot of backing because they have MSNBC money, which is something we don't have. So your likes really help us and sharing and subscribing. Thank you guys for pushing those likes. Allie, thank you. S-Files, thank you guys so much. So speaking of the lies, again, we want to get this stuff out here. Here's Rachel Maddow telling her millions of viewers that Trump is taking away Narcan, and it's not true at all. At all. Here she is. Take a look here. No, she looks bad. Ooh, she looks bad.
It's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible. And it is terrible. He really did have a judge arrested today.
Thank God.
And we will have more on that in a moment.
Yeah, right.
But that wasn't all. I mean, today we learned that Trump is killing off the federal funding for Narcan. Narcan, the anti-overdose miracle. that has literally saved hundreds of millions of American lives in the last few years. There are hundreds of thousands of Americans who are alive today who would not be alive without Narcan. It is a miracle that saves people from overdose. And Trump, in his first term, bragged and bragged and bragged about how much his administration supported Narcan and how much they'd done to make sure everywhere in the country could get Narcan. Now he's killing it off.
Ooh, let me get her off. She's
so
a
dumb.
rough looking one. Woo!
She's out. I can't. In one breath, she says that hundreds of thousands of people have been saved because of Narcan. The very drug, you mean, that President Trump made sure those hundreds of thousands of people had access to through the programs that he had during his administration? You mean because of President Trump, thousands of people were saved? Did you just hear? That's what I heard. And I was like, this is so funny that she can say this with a straight face. No pun intended. This is just ridiculous.
These people are enemies of America. First of all, that is an outright lie, and it's dishonest reporting. The New York Times put out a headline claiming that Trump is ending funding for Narcan. The details are buried in the article, which few people actually read. We got to go past the headlines and read these in the details of the article. They see no more Narcan. The Trump administration actually said they wanted to increase funding for Narcan, as he did in his first term. It's in the article. But they also want to replace the Substance Abuse Services Administration with the Administration for a Healthy America, a reorganization. But Rachel Maddow sat here in bold-faced lie. You know she read it. She read it.
Yes, she did. She got it early. She knew exactly what was up. And she went to, let me just read parts from the first paragraph and leave it at that. Right. Miles, you were right. She's saying he's probably ending a program that gives it away for free. It's program related. It doesn't remove any of it. In fact, he's going to have more supply.
Exactly. This is why we got to keep our knees on their necks. We have to George Floyd these journalists because they lie, and we have to stay on them because we have to stay on them with the truth. These people they're terrible. They are terrible. And you know that she even looks miserable. You talk about people when the spirit is not there at all. This woman, she is not happy. That is not a happy woman.
She's just a void person, and but she gets paid just to do this, and the personality, and they frankly need her. They're desperate for anybody, and they can't replace her yet. They haven't found the others that are going to lie is good. I ask it as so boldly with just a solemn face, like, I'm telling you the truth. Everyone, believe me. You believe me, right? So they don't have enough yet coming up in the ranks. I'm sure they will, and then she'll be miserable because she'll be out of a job like she should be with a lot of the media, frankly. Because once again, that's what they've done. And she proved that they will continue to lie, especially against this administration.
Yeah, but we know this is all part of the Marxist agenda. Mm-hmm. We talked about this before, back in, I think it was 1943. They put into the congressional record, was it 55 or 43 items of the communist agenda. And one of them was to infiltrate our media. They have infiltrated our media with Marxist, communist, whatever you want to call it, plants who are there to push out propaganda of the left. They are there to destroy. They are there to divide America. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit because Reid came out this week out of her hole, and she came up with more lies talking about our country is going to fail because we're not diverse. And she says the Rome failed also because they're not diverse. That's not true. But we're going to talk about it. But yeah, so this is what they're doing. They want to divide us here in America so they can then come in and conquer. It's as simple as that. And another way they're doing it is by flooding our country with illegals. That's what they did under Biden's administration. And Marco Rubio was on with Kristen Welker this morning, clarifying something, that another lie that this media is trying to pin on the Trump administration. Let me see here. Okay, here he is.
Our audience. 3 U.S. citizen children have been deported with their mothers. Now, this is according to the Washington Post. The family's lawyer says one of them is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer, deported without medication or ability to contact doctors. The family's lawyers are also saying their clients were denied communication with family and legal representatives before being deported. And it's raising concerns about the issue of due process, that it's being violated. So let me ask you, is everyone on U.S. soil, citizens and non-citizens, entitled to due process?
Yes, of course. But let me tell you, it looks at an immigration standing. The laws are very specific. If you're in this country unlawfully, you have no right to be here and you must be removed. That's what the law says. Somehow over the last 20 years, we've completely lost this notion that somehow or completely adopted this idea that, yes, we have immigration laws, but once you come into our country illegally, it triggers all kinds of rights that can keep you here indefinitely. That's why we were being flooded at the border. And we've ended that. And that's why you see a historically low number of people, not just trying to cross our border, trying to cross the border into Panama, all the way down in the Darien Gap. I mean, it's been a huge help for those countries as well. On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department. Is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process, just to be very clear there?
Well, no. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have 2 choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported. So,
you guys see how they are such liars. Thank you, Mr. Rubio.
Playing with the wrong man, playing with the wrong one.
Yeah. Wow. All right, before we get into this, we got Kung Fu CJ here. It says, KJ, you are on point. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ. Thank you so much for your super chat. Yeah, Michelle, this is so maddening. What are your thoughts on that exchange?
They don't stop saying children were deported. Show me the child deportation. See, she should be sued. That network should be sued, because that is blatantly false to say that a child was ever deported. There's no deportation notice, and the mothers had due process. They were deported because a judge said they had to go. I don't know how many of us moms would say, okay, I'm going to leave my kid behind and go. No, the same moms that either brought the kids or were pregnant or had the children, they knew they were here illegally. And this is not happening in this grand scheme. This is a handful that they're just kind of using and saying, here's, again, KJ, this is just another headline, another clickbait. It's what
they're doing it across the board. They're doing it today on station after station. These journalists, so-called journalists, reporters, have been pounding on the Trump administration about due process.
Like puppets.
Here's on Face the Nation, they had on Tom Homan, another reporter, another flat-faced woman on here, and they're pushing lies.
On Friday, a federal judge who was appointed by President Trump said a 2-year-old American citizen child had been sent to Honduras with the mother who was deported. But the judge said, quote, there was no meaningful process. So again, this is another similar situation and dynamic. Shouldn't there be special care when these deportation cases involve small American-born children?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the judge. There was due process. That female had due process at great taxpayer expense and was ordered by an immigration judge after those hearings. So she had due process. Again, this is parenting 101.
Come on now.
You can decide to take that child with you, or you can decide to leave the child here with a relative or another spouse. Having a U.S. citizen child doesn't make you immune from our laws of the country. American families get separated every day by law enforcement, thousands of times a day. When a parent gets put in jail, the child can't go with them. These, if you're an illegal alien, come to this country and you decide to have a U.S. citizen child, that's on you. You put yourself in that position.
Well, when it came to this particular case, you just pointed out that they could have made arrangements. The father tried actually to make arrangements, as we understand it through our reporting. But he and the mother, who were separated since she was in detention after showing up for her appointment, was only allowed a very brief phone call. The father tried to petition to get the child handed over to an American citizen relative. So the mother had to make this decision and took the child with her. It just seems like there could be some more time frame here around due process allowed. That's what the judge is saying there should have been more of a process here.
There was due process. The two-year-old baby was left with the mother because the mother signed a document requesting her two-year-old baby go with her. That's the parent's decision. I don't think the judge knows specifics of this case. Two-year-old went with the mom. The mom signed a paper saying, "I want my two-year-old to go with me." That's a parent's decision. It's not a government decision. It's a parent's decision.
Thank you.
All right. Get her. You see this?
I love Tom.
Yeah.
Tom moment.
Now, first of all, these people make me sick. All this due process. They are crying about due process now. Where was the due process when they came in? When these people come across the border, the way Biden was giving them an app and telling them to come on in, all these illegals, process was out the window for them when they came into the country. Then they come in, anchor their babies, and then again, they forgot the process, forgot the paperwork, forgot, thinking about maybe leaving first and getting their paperwork together and then coming. There's no due process. There's no paperwork. They don't adhere to any process. But now when we're telling them they got to go, everybody's sticklers for process. Process this, process that.
No, KJ, I'm gonna push back on that. They did have due process. The due process that the far left and the Democrats wanted was for them to process millions of people into the country and give them instant citizenship. And now they find out, oh, what? That's illegal? We can't do that? No, you can't do that. And if a woman comes here and she knows that, and unfortunately there are circumstances where they come here and they have children, they know they're here illegally. There are consequences. And the fact that when I was laughing, I stopped watching Face the Nation years ago. I saw how woke it was, and this is just bad. It's just nasty. But it reminded me of Talladega Nights. She's like, shouldn't there be a better process for small baby American born? It was like baby Jesus, little infant, teeny tiny. Like, it was like, what other adjectives do you want to add on there? And just for a baby, it's a kid. There's a kid. The mom says, I want my kid. If I'm deported, I'm taking my kid with me. And the U.S. government says, great. We're not in the business of separating parents from children. Sounds familiar. So you go ahead and take your child with you. And that case that they use with the mom and the father of the child, they're not even together. So they're separated. So no, she might not trust the father and whoever he decides to put her child in the home with. They're already not together. So these children who are American citizens, they were born here, sure. When they're older, they can still come back. They still remain U.S. citizens. So this is nonsense. This is just moms deciding they're going to keep their young children. And maybe even those same moms, we don't know if they'll ever have an opportunity to come back or not, but let's do it the right way.
Exactly, Michelle. And Kung Fu CJ here with the $2 super chat says Tom is a straight shooter. Yes, he is. He shoots straight from the hip. It's no cut cards with him. He's going to give it to you. as plainly but accurately and efficiently as possible. And I love him. And, it's so sad because we have the media now harping on something like this, a child being deported with her mother. But what about all those unaccompanied minors that have gone? We don't know where they are. What they said was like 300 and some children that nobody knows what happened to them when they came across the border. They have been trafficked. They have been kidnapped. No telling what. And, if the media would focus on that, on real issues, instead of harping on this, when we're trying to fix the problem that the Biden administration created, it's just mind-boggling. It really is. They are really enemies of the state. President Trump said that many years ago, and at the time, I actually thought maybe he was going too far. No, he was right on. These people are enemies of this country. They really are.
And in fact, I don't think from what we're seeing now and what's being exposed, he didn't even go far enough. Right. People don't like his delivery, but I'm like, guys, the reality is, and we have special task forces now finding some of those children, and they're finding them in sweatshops in the United States, essentially. They're finding them in fields. They're finding them all over the place. They're finding them in other trafficking industries. They're finding them. And some of those are inside jobs. So this is insanity. And of course, we want to focus, frankly, on the story that makes the most sense. A mom took their kid with them when they went back home to their native country. That makes sense. And you're right, KJ. They don't want to do the thing that actually helps the children or helps the United States. They are anti-United States. They need the open borders. They need to run these narratives.
Yeah. We have another super chatter here. Brown Eyes with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says media is trying to find a gotcha moment. Yep. They are draining me, especially when I have to explain the truth to misinformed people. Woo-hoo, Brown Eyes. You are preaching to the choir. We are right there with you. I just said earlier how, family members, friends of mine believe MSNBC, CNN, that is their Bible, and they will not take anything otherwise. They believe that they're telling the truth, and when you try to provide data to them to the contrary, they get upset. Yeah. They get upset. So all we can do is continue to plant the seed, continue to give little nuggets of information. If they choose to accept it, they do. If they don't, then they don't. What do you have you encountered that, Michelle?
Well, yes, because my family stays on MSNBC, and Rachel Maddow was always in when I visit family members. It is sad, but then again, I have to realize, God, you're going to have to remove the scales from their eyes. There's not much I can do, because when you want to believe the enemy's lies, you're fully committed, right? It's the same thing as you want to live in sin. You're fully committed. That's your thing. That's what you want. That's what you want to do. And it takes a lot, and it takes you. A recognition or God or something else intervening. So there's only so much I can do. I can be the light. I can share the light. And in this instance, I can give the truth and I can give the facts. But what I'm not going to do is stress about people not listening. I am going to pray for the children. Right. And then the entire scenario reminds me of, where are they when thousands of children are separated from their parents in the United States who go to jail? I mean, this happens all the time, where children are taken away from their parents or don't have access to them. This is not a new concept. What I'm tired of is those same exact robotic headlines. So right now, we have to make sure we correct that term of deported children. That's the term they're using. Deported children, deported children, deported babies, deported babies. It's like an echo effect or like that ripple in the water. And I'm thinking, this is not what's happening. This is a deported mother. No child right now is just being deported. The children are either being returned or they are going with their parents back home.
Right. And Samantha Bush says, where are the missing 300,000 children? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The 300,000 missing children. And if the media used just an ounce of their energy to focus on that, I mean, that's horrible. Horrible. 300,000 children missing. these kids are probably going through inhumane conditions. Some of probably the most trauma that it's unimaginable. And the media is wasting our time creating narratives that aren't even true when we have real issues right here. But this is what they do. So this is why broadcasts like ours is so important, folks. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to more and more people here. And subscribe, because we definitely want to build a community of truth seekers, of people who call them out for their lies and disdain for America. This is what we want to do. And speaking of that, you know, I take credit for shows like ours getting this nasty woman off the air, Joy Reid. Now she's on YouTube and she continues to peddle her lies and hate and racism. Here she is now. I mean, she just really, it's just comical at this point. It's comical what she is saying here. All right, take a look.
Each community on earth. If you take that away and try to distill us just down to white folks, we'll be like Europe, an aging, slowly dying former empire. The Roman Empire didn't survive because it didn't have enough strength in its diversity. It suppressed its diversity and it died. If the U.S. wants to be the Roman Empire, keep voting the way you're voting, y'all. Keep voting for people like each community.
What is she talking about, Michelle? What is she talking about?
Oh, she just sounds so unintelligent. I don't think she's ever researched a book. She's never studied anything about ancient Rome. I don't think she statistically knows the white versus black. Has she ever looked up how many people are considered white in the human population, since they're always talking about things on a grand scheme? Do you realize, again, I've said this before, this is this American arrogance and notion that there are so many more white people and they're dominating the entire earth, when really they're the minority in the entire earth. There are far more black and brown communities that have been around forever, literally forever. Let's just look at African nations, and let's look at India, and let's look at China. Let's look at the Asian, like they don't exist. She doesn't know her history. And we know the fall of Rome, and let's just talk scripturally and biblically about the fall of Rome. We knew that was going to happen. And if we keep voting the way that she wants us to vote, we will definitely fall, because this has become a nation that is demonic. This has become a nation that is a lover of themselves, that is falling into all kinds of sin, that has forgotten God. That is what's going to cause the fall of this nation. And women like her who continue to preach this false narrative and convince others to be as dumb as she is, because this is foolishness. She should pick up a book. She should start reading more than she talks on her channel.
Exactly. First of all, Rome didn't fall because of one bad emperor or one bad battle. Rome fell because the rot came from within, like her, like the media, like the Democratic Party or the left. Weak leadership, economic chaos, cultural decay, and an abandonment of the very virtues that built the civilization in the first place. That's what caused it to fall. And that's what conservatives, what Trump, what Republicans are trying to prevent. It had nothing to do with diversity. What is she talking about?
You know what's really silly, KJ? It was extremely diverse.
Right.
Rome was extremely diverse. It was a cultural hub. People came from all over the world to get to Rome. It had all kinds of people's groups. And if you read the New Testament, you'll just see how big Rome was and how many people traveled and how much commerce they did. So even that narrative is nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the economic collapse that happened there. It was due to overtaxation. It crushed the middle class. This is the very thing that we're fighting against from the Democrats. My God, we're here in Maryland, and we're seeing this result before the last 2 years. Previously, the previous administration we had was Republican. And we didn't see this. We had a surplus in the budget.
$5 billion.
Right. And now this new administration, now they elected a Democrat, Wes Moore. He's come in, went through the surplus, and now we're in what? What's the deficit?
$4 billion in deficit.
Wow. And what is he trying to do now in order to get it back, that money back? They're trying to tax us.
Whoa.
I mean, they are taxing us in an insane way. The taxes that they have started, or that they're talking about coming down on us. I mean, was it a rain tax?
Well, we had that. We fought it. It's not just taxes. So here's what they like to do. And I'm going to say that for any state and far left or Democrat or any just bad leadership. They don't even call it taxes. They know that's a hot button issue. So they call it fees. So they doubled our registration fees for our cars. They doubled the fees to cross certain bridges. They're doubling fees. It's not taxes. We've reduced your taxes. It's fees. The same thing with our houses here are out of control, and the taxes, they're not extra taxes. Your house has simply been assessed for $100,000 more than it was worth last year. And I don't know about the rest of you, but our housing market has not changed that drastically that you're coming through with all of your technology and your drones and saying my house is worth way more than I could ever get for it. That is a trick. It's a lie. It's sneaky. And that's what they're doing in these areas. They're still doing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And not only in Maryland, but in Baltimore City here, you brought up a good point about the taxes and the fees. So right now, our mayor is currently proposing to lawmakers, we did propose to add a 2% sales tax on top of the state's 6% sales tax. So city residents already face 15 different taxes, and they pay twice as much in property taxes as neighboring jurisdictions. Again, this is a Democrat mayor. Of course, Baltimore City has been run by Democrats for decades, and the people with any sense have moved out of the city because of it. Families, businesses, all have moved out because of the heavy tax burden that we have that we experience here. And that is what caused Rome to decline. They taxed the citizens into poverty while elites lived large.
I mean, that's the reason the United States was created, is we fought back on a 2% tax and we said, we're not paying for you to get wealthy overseas while we're sitting here in the United States and working. We're done with that. And we became, it ignited what we are now. So it's amazing how much, again, we don't learn history. We don't teach it. We have this very, far left leaning, and we see it in our books, and we've talked about it, right? We have children that can't read. We have history teachers or history books that aren't giving what we need to learn. They kind of highlight and gloss over either happy times, bad times, sad times, or very specific times to kind of reprogram our children and prime them, as far as I'm concerned, to be socialists. Prime them to accept communism if it comes. And I'm just not doing it.
Right. And part of that is the moral decay. You know, again, she's talking about Rome, and another reason why they collapsed was the cultural and moral decay. You know, they turned away from traditional Roman virtues, duty, discipline, honor, and gave way to hedonism, apathy, and entitlement. These are the same things that we're seeing the Democrat Party push here in America. Abortion on demand. You know, they want to destroy traditional families, the nuclear family. They're taking away parental rights and making the state as the dominant factor in our children's lives. No more, if we don't affirm our kids' identity, then we can lose parental rights. I mean, and this is actually passed. This passed in Colorado. These types of things are what causes an empire, a country to decay. And she's totally just missing it. And I don't even think she's missing it. She's doing it on purpose. She's totally lying to get people, I guess, to just vote Democrat.
I don't know. I think she's like still job hunting. So maybe she's saying this because she's saying, look, guys, keep all these things going so that maybe I can get another job, better paying, a higher position. I don't know what she's doing. That's all she has, right? This is the shtick that she has. All she can do is cry DEI. All she can do is say, oh, woe is me. Woe is me. I go back to Michelle Obama. Woe is me in my beautiful home and all of my money. Woe is me. Nothing. Like, you've got everything. You were blessed in this country. You have everything you have because of the very nation that we are, and you want us to go backwards for your sake?
Right.
I don't think people realize if we fall, I'm not going to say when, because I believe that Jesus can do all things, and this is our opportunity to turn back. But if we were to fall, the recovery time we wouldn't see. It'd be just like us becoming a nation, hundreds of years for us to be here, and we're a new nation. Look at what happened to Rome and how long it took to rebuild and become what it is, to see Italy and to see those nations where they are now. We have to stop and fight back, because there are other people on the other side fighting for our decline, fighting for us to be destroyed from within, KJ, like you said.
Yeah. And I know a lot of times we as conservatives, we just like, I'm not listening to that liberal, crap, this leftist crap, these MSDNC and things. And I get it, but sometimes it is important. I think we do need to just listen to what the lies that they're spewing. And this is why we do these reaction videos to this crap like Joy Reid, The View, because we got to know what they're telling a lot of people, in
millions,
people that don't know these are lies. And just from this, there's a lesson that we can point out the lies in what she said, and then tell people about the lessons, or the true lessons of Rome are not ancient history. They're flashing warning signs. If we want to preserve our civilization, we have to fight people like her, not physically, but with the truth. We have to fight the cultural decay, protect strong leadership, and defend the values that made us great. We have to do it.
You're right.
Yeah.
The only thing I liked about her is the point that she's bringing up Rome, and there, like you said, KJ, there are major lessons to be learned. The type of debauchery that they supported, and the orgies, and the eating and gorging. It was like literally all the 7 sins, and then paying attention to the Colosseum, because that's how you're distracted and you're cheering it. So here, when we have the LGBTQT, when we have all of this stuff happening, and then but pay attention to the concerts over here, but no, pay attention to this over here. We are like that. And like I said, you're right. It's the decay. It's that we turned away from God. There's so many other things, but we have to pay attention to that. That is why I love Christian conservative. That's why if she wants to say her nonsense, we're going to set the record straight. And hopefully there are other podcasts like hers that are saying this is too much. They're lying to you. Everyone, they're lying to us straight to our faces, and hoping we'll just kind of go along with it.
Yeah. And I see the chat is on fire with talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. And so we know they've kind of come out, and they've got a pretty large gathering behind them at these rallies that they've been doing. It looks like she's planning on a run. It looks like she's, trying to build up some national press for herself. Because she's going to run in 2028. So I think she could be a problem. I do. She's not I don't agree with her policies, and, I think she's a moron overall, but she does present much better than people like, what's her name?
With Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett and the rest of the squad leaders. And even with Gavin Newsom, now Gavin Newsom's trying to go through this whole transformation and move to the center, but he's just got so much bad press and things from his leadership in California that I think that's going to just throw him out. But Alexandria, she can probably garner the supporters of Bernie Sanders. So we, I think that someone like JD Vance can mop the floor with her, but I don't think she's going to be as easily to beat as someone like Kamala Harris.
I think it's because she speaks to this generation, and we've dumbed down a generation. So again, we go back to education. We've destroyed 2 generations with poor education. And so that we have somebody like an AOC, who's the spokesmodel, the poster child, really for ignorance, because most of the topics that she's talking about, the things that get her clicks, I'm like, you're factually completely inaccurate. Like, what are we doing? But her delivery, like you said, and her age, she represents youth and change. And sometimes that's all the teens and the young voters are looking for. They're not paying attention to the content, and they're not the same type of workers that the generation before us or my generation are. They don't want to work with their hands. They don't want to do the same trades. So it's a different type of generation. We have to start appealing to them. Trump did that by saying, you want more of your money? I'm gonna help you keep more of your money. You want less taxes? You want less people crossing the border, taking your jobs? Here's what we're gonna do. Gavin Newsom, that guy is a slick used car salesman. I wouldn't trust anything that came out of his mouth. I'm like the judge, Milan, not even if your tongue were notarized, I wouldn't believe you. So
right, exactly. Yeah. But with AOC, I mean, somebody said in the chat, she has Bernie, behind her, and he still has a lot of, credit with this generation of leftists. So she'll be one to watch. She definitely will be one to watch. And then, as we've been talking about throughout this broadcast, you have the media who will not challenge people like her on their policy plans. And they won't challenge it. They won't say, hey, this doesn't make sense. They'll go right along with it and push them across the finish line. And again, if it wasn't for Biden having that disastrous debate, and then people like us, challenging the media saying, hey, Biden is, Kamala Harris is not even speaking about her plan. So we will see. We will see. The conservatives will have a fight to the death for a long time because of the media industrial complex. They are lockstep in with the Democrat Party. And so it's always three against one with us, because we not only have to debate and challenge, the Democrat, but we also have to challenge the media. Or two against one, I should say. So we will see. We will certainly see. Speaking of another story that was kind of told us one way and turned out to be something totally different was the plane crash, the Black Hawk helicopter plane crash at Reagan National Airport. So breaking news out today, new details show the female pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter that collided with an American Airlines flight at Reagan National Airport ignored her co-pilot's warning and made multiple critical errors. This is according to New York Times and multiple other media outlets report she had several mistakes that led to the tragedy that took over 60 lives. I have the clip here. Let's see here. This was tragic. And President Trump called it in the beginning. When he first came out, he called it. And people were saying that he was wrong for saying it was the pilot, and he was wrong for saying it was, these DEI practices. And it looks like he may be proved right. Here this is.
The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
So that was the terrible, terrible tragedy. So the report also puts blame on the air traffic. Well, it says not only was the Black Hawk flying too high, but in the final seconds before the crash, its pilot failed to heed a directive from her co-pilot, an Army flight instructor, to change course. The report also puts blame on the air traffic controller for not being clear and urgent enough. However, Warrant Officer Andrew Eves, who was co-piloting, and the instructor of Captain Rebecca Lobach, told her to turn left. She didn't. He told her he believed that air traffic control wanted them to turn left toward the East River bank. Turning left would have opened up more space between the helicopter and Flight 5342, which was heading for the runway 33 at an altitude of roughly 300 feet. She did not turn left. Michelle, what are your thoughts there?
Well, it's just the whole thing is tragic. I had 2 of the funerals. One actually during one of my school days at the church I serve. We knew personally some of the victims here in Southern Maryland. There was a group of gentlemen. They were on a hunting trip, and they lost all of them. So our community was hit hard in Southern Maryland. So my heart goes out to all those families still. Again, we knew some of them, and the whole thing is tragic. The cover up or not having clarity is tragic because they could come out a lot faster, and they're choosing not to. And the fact that this is coming out now, and it's going to be probably a slow and steady stream before they finally get to it. Again, I'm glad that President Trump is in office, because we know if it was the Biden administration, we would never know about what happened. And once again, I think President Trump just has good instinct and good intel.
Right.
And he called that, and I think we'll find out and get to the bottom of it. But when you found out afterwards, when we were seeing afterwards, is how many near accidents, near death experiences, that this is like a regular thing happening. And this airport is right down the street from me. So literally by my office, the flight path is over my house. So we can hear it, see it. This happens all the time. We've got to fix these issues that we have before it happens again. I don't know how we get to the bottom of it, except for what President Trump is doing, cleaning house and saying, you can't just keep hiring and then retaining hirees that shouldn't be in certain positions, because what? You're afraid they're going to complain? Because just stop. These are lives in the air. These are families that are destroyed and devastated. And even though it is safer to be in the air, when a collision happens, 60 people, 100 people, they're lost at a time, not a car accident with 2 people. We lost like over 14, a group of friends, because they were all traveling together, the same as the teams with the ice skaters. Like, we lost big groups traveling all together.
So let me ask you, Michelle, I know you knew some of the families that lost lives there, but is it comforting for this news to come out, or do you feel like you just rather it just go to the wayside?
No, I need it to be exposed. And for those families' sake, again, I feel bad for them, but they need that. They need clarity, they need closure, and they need to see that they have a government that is working on their behalf and getting to the bottom of things. Because I'm just getting sick and tired of things being covered up.
Right.
And that's what that seemed like. I'm like, we've heard nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it almost seemed like they were trying to, push it under the rug. And then what bothered me is also seeing who they were highlighting on the plane. Again, they didn't talk about the groups that were here. There were so many people lost. I think that for them, it's a good thing for those families, all the families involved. Find out what happened so we can stop repeating the mistakes. And if this is military, and these helicopters are flying every single day. If this is a problem where they're flying too high on a daily basis, fix it. And I think that's what we're getting to. Fix it. This should have never happened, and it should never happen again.
Yeah, I agree. It's, this is why it's important to have an investigative media, and not sweeping this stuff under the rug, because, we're talking about this, just from the place of it's just wrong, and for them to misinform, and, it's propagandizing, but it's also dangerous. I mean, I think about this. I think about what they did again during COVID, demonizing ivermectin, and, not getting to the bottom of the nursing homes, and, censoring people that were saying, no, you can't put all these, people with elderly and things like that. People lost their lives because of the censorship, because of the misinformation, because of the lies. And this is why it's so important to get to the bottom of this. This is why I say, and President Trump has said, that this media has become an enemy of the United States.
Correct.
Because these people lose lives when this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've lost their lives physically. We've lost the identity of the United States. They're breaking down our Constitution. There's no accountability. It just has to stop. But that's why I like these, and even the leaks, like the person who shot the other angle of the video. They went after that person, like, you're not supposed to release this yet. And I thought, wow, how clever, because that means you knew about it and you were covering it up as part of your investigation. And now we see it, and now they get to, distribute it the way that they want. But I'm happy that we're starting to get, again, more whistleblowers and people saying, this is what's been happening. This is the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. And guys, God is about bringing things to light. He's going to bring things to light. And it may not be now, but in the future, at some point, things come to light. And I just pray that these things come to light faster than what they have been, because KJ, you're right. The media, mainstream media, legacy media has done a fantastic job of covering up anything that benefits them and to their own means. Because sometimes I don't even think it's just they're being paid off. I think they just like running the narrative. They need their ratings up sometimes.
Exactly. Well, folks, we have come to the end of the night. Thank you all so much for watching and spending your Sunday evening with us. We will be back on Thursday. We will be back Thursday to bring you the latest in news from a Christian conservative perspective. I'll be back on Poppin' Politics tomorrow with all of the ladies Monday night. And I'm not sure if we have any Canadians watching, but we will be bringing you guys the latest in the Canadian election. So they have their federal elections tomorrow. We're going to see if Trump had any effect on that. And we'll have a special guest from Canada reporting on the final results of the election, and also giving us some feedback on the impact that the US, the tariffs, and Trump have had on the people in Canada. So you don't want to miss that. That's tomorrow night on Pop and Politics. Michelle, any final thoughts for the audience, for the chat tonight?
No, you guys are, as always, an awesome chat. Sometimes I'm just looking and I'm laughing at it. It's fantastic to have everybody here. And I'll be following that, KJ, for sure. And I'll be following the papacy to see who the new pope is going to be. It's amazing how many things change our world. This administration is changing and shifting our world. But what's not going to shift is my worldviews, because I have a biblical world view. And I hope everyone out there that's watching and listening understands and has a biblical worldview. That is how we make our decisions. That's how we stand firm in our beliefs. That's why Christian conservative is important. So God bless all of you tonight and this week.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said anything better, Michelle. Thank you guys so much for watching with us. If you haven't done so, hit that like button. Hit the like button. It really helps to get us out to a broader audience, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Share this on your social media, in a DM, in a text message. Share this broadcast with a friend or family member to stay informed, inspired, and empowered. We will see you guys on Thursday. Good night. God bless.